What's the weirdest reason why you felt attracted to someone? She had a skinny Achilles tendon on both legs, if that makes any sense. Like there was no fat on either side. It's just the tendon and skin and whatever else. That's the first truly weird thing on this thread. Congrats. Because she smoked. Even though I am very anti-smoking and don't like being around smoke or smokers. Or so I thought. After knowing this girl for a few years, I asked her out on a date. And I told her about the first time I ever met her, and how she was off in the corner smoking, and I thought she looked so cool, even though I normally don't like smokers. She replied, "What are you talking about? I haven't smoked in at least 10 years. That wasn't me. RIPU. Surprise glasses. I slept over at my ex-boyfriend's house. I didn't know he wore contacts. I woke up in the morning to go to the bathroom after he got up to walk the dog. When I got out of the bathroom and was walking back to his room, I looked up and saw him wearing glasses. Then he just smiled at me and said good morning. Holy frick, was I turned on. I don't know what it was about it, but it was amazing. Girl that was a friend of a friend needed a shoulder to cry on, and I was basically the only person she recognized within reach. She looked up at me with her crying face. You know that super unattractive face people make when they're bawling, and her mascara running, and I swear people in the next room over could hear me getting hard. Ah, the good old morning wood. Lots of times I start off thinking someone is not attractive, then after a while I get fascinated by their unattractiveness. Then I start to like their uniqueness. Then I start to find their uniqueness beautiful. Then I tell someone and they can't believe that I fancy this person. That makes me then fancy them even more. Ah, like Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth. She disagreed with me so vehemently that I said I hate her and it whiplashed me. Nobody had ever argued me to such an extent. According to Tom Haverford, the emotions of love and hate are very closely related. He touched me and it felt so safe. He used to say I'd sigh when he hugged me, like the weight of the world was coming off my shoulders. I never noticed the sigh until he said something, but goddamn did his hug fix everything in a really messy reality. I've been the dude in this situation, and trust me, it's the greatest thing for us too. I literally hated him so much I eventually became attracted to him. It makes me wonder if the hate was just sexual frustration. She was having an allergic reaction from having a small amount of peanuts and her lips got all swollen and it was stupid hot. The Angelina Jolie effect. I saw a dream of them giving me a BJ. You know when you see a really intimate dream of someone and then when you wake up it feels like the feelings from the dream transfer to real life? It was like that. Also, I don't even have a dong eye roll. Because they liked me as well. That's pretty freaking weird. That someone would be attracted to me. They must be a real sicko. Yeah, sick freak. It's funny how that works. Girls I've previously never had feelings for said they did for me, and suddenly I'm heels over head in love. She had a huge nose, like really big. It was long and crooked like shark fin after an encounter with an outboard motor. She was quite petite with an uneven bosom and narrow hips and the rest of her face was rather plain, but her monumental schnoz drew me in and I had to buy her a drink. I think she was unaccustomed to men hitting on her by the way she reacted when I approached her, but once I broke the ice, we had a great night together. I was only in town for an evening so I never saw her again, but I often think about beautiful Mabel from Nashville and her enormous sexy nose. The narwhal theory. Oh god. I was attracted to a male co-worker because of the really specific reason that I liked the way his glasses looked on his face. They just sat nicely. Even worse, I later realized he looked very much like my dad looked when I was 7-ish years old, and also he had almost the exact same glasses. As a very introverted and quiet person, I for some reason can't help but feel really attracted to extroverted and upbeat girls who start and carry conversations about everything they feel like thinking and talk about anything they feel like saying. I find talking with people like that really enjoyable despite me being such a downer. I'm an outgoing girl who is attracted to quiet guys. I often feel like I'm being annoying by approaching them and talking their ear off, so it's nice to know that some of you like it. I developed a crush on a boy in high school because he had a well-known, unrequited crush on a different girl. so I assumed he might be desperate enough to date me instead. He wasn't. When guys have crushes on specific girls, they usually are only interested in her, at least from my experience. She got goosebumps. Back in uni I was taking an intro physics class. Sat in roughly the same seat every day as did most everyone else. About midway through the semester, a girl I had never really paid attention to had goosebumps all throughout class. For some reason it activated things inside me like R2 in the Death Star. I couldn't stop looking at the goosebumps on her skin. The whole lecture was a waste for me. Ever since then, goosebumps on a girl get me really revved up. Whenever she was stoned, she would hug lampposts, reassure them everything would be okay, and dance to the next one. Sober, she would always take a second to appreciate a good lamppost. I love people who just love things. She loved them so much he eventually named her son Street Lamp. He saw a calculus equation on my whiteboard and instantly solved it. I'd never been attracted to him before and had no idea that brain was in there. We're engaged. I'm a straight female, dating an amazing boyfriend. However, I was serving a girl and her younger sister once, and I found myself in the new and confusing position of being terribly attracted to this girl. It had something to do with the confident and careless way she sat in her seat. She was easygoing and friendly, and just so cool. I dunno. It was weird. Could have just been some good old-fashioned admiration. Wearing a ponytail with just a few strands loose and always falling in her face. I can't explain it, but it's instant attraction in most cases. A girl I met recently is an architect. I am disabled. Recently she went on a huge rant about how architects will sometimes cut corners to avoid having to fit disability standards. She exploded into this fiery rage about the inadequacy of those architects and the rights of disabled persons. I have never been so turned on. She was a compulsive liar and didn't give a dang. In her personal ad, she described herself as a t-shirt and jeans girl who loved puppies, children, mud in and fuzzy slippers. When I took her out on a date, she showed up in a pantsuit and acted like a dainty bee the entire evening. We stopped by my cousin's place and she was such a germaphobe she refused to even pet the dog, let alone hold their newborn. Think Willy from Temple of Doom if you need a visual. When I called her on her balls, she said, "Oh that. I just copied and pasted some random buzzwords to sound likable." The candor gave me a massive hard on. That's hilarious. And I love how it didn't bother you. When it comes to girls, I'm always attracted to their brown eyes. I absolutely love brown eyes, and I find it weird that the color of someone's irises makes that much of a difference to me. As a girl with dark brown eyes, I am so happy to see this comment. At a pool party and this gangly guy with hair down to the small of his back came. We met and found common interests, but just friendly. I had no interest in him sexually. In the pool later he poked me in my butt. Suddenly wanted him. TLDR. They poked me in the butt. He kissed another guy, just a slight brush over the lips, and had the most cheeky smile after it. I have never ever been interested or enjoyed gay peen or anything similar, but dang, I could hear my vagina moan after witnessing it. I guess it was the smile though. At least I hope so. I'm a gay guy and I can tell you that you're not alone. Many of my female friends will say they don't think two guys doing things is attractive, but every time one of them sees it in person they get fixated and aroused. It's hilarious to me. I'm attracted to a woman in uniform. Literally any uniform. In high school I worked at a Sonic drive-in and the car hops were the main reason I stayed there for 2 years. I have to say that as a college student I've developed quite a thing for ROTC guys. I enjoy the uniform days a little too much. Because they were dressed in all black. Black shirt, black Converse, black jeans, black beanie. Like they were dressed for an extremely casual funeral. I have a thing for when guys wear all black. It's just insanely hot to me, IDKY. As a guy who wears a lot of black, it's insanely hot in here too. I think guys who look smart are attractive. I have found, however, no correlation between what I think looks smart and what is actually smart. I had recently cut my hair to a long pixie cut and my then good friend was messing with it, parting it in weird ways, and so on. I never had any interest in him romantically, but in that moment I decided I was going to date him. I don't know why playing with my hair and messing it up made him so attractive so instantaneously. We started dating 2 weeks later and we are now happily married. Yay. She kept switching from being a massive, snorting dork with a bellyful laugh to a highfalutin intellectual. It inversely reminded me of the flattery and social skills I'd been so carefully fine-tuning my whole life. In one spell, she had the whole room without an ounce of the same grace I'd been cultivating so desperately. I had stars in my eyes. I once completely fell in love with a girl at a bonfire. It was my senior year of high school and a buddy invited me. We were sitting at the fire. I live in southeast Alaska. We have huge bonfires out the road, and I'm on the opposite end from where the drinks were. I thought about getting up but I noticed a girl sitting next to the cooler so Jay yelled to her to throw me a can. She intently stood up, grabbed a one and walked over to me, handed to me and sat on my lap all flirty like. I didn't know what to do so I smiled and opened the drink. She just sat there smiling at me and I was kinda into her at that point already. As soon as I put the can to my lip she grabbed it and squeezed it, pouring it all over me. She stood up but I jumped up and started yelling at me and said, "Never talk to me that way. You want a can next time you walk over to me and ask like a goddamn man, not a screaming child." She stared at me waiting for an apology. I fell in love with her right there and immediately asked if she wanted to go on a date with me the next day. What? Physical closeness, I guess. I already spend a lot of time studying people's movements and the compositions of their bodies, so when I end up really close up with someone, like passing through a narrow space or something, I get this sudden rush of intimacy and attraction, especially if there's just enough room for there to be no actual contact. I've even had little dreams just of being pulled close to someone and woken up with a massive yet temporary crush on the person. I sat next to this girl in the first semester of 2nd grade. All semester I did not really notice her that much, but one day the teacher said she had to change classes and I realized how I was kinda attracted to her and it was sad to see her go. It's always funny to think of that story in retrospect. In class, this girl wasn't strong enough to uncap the marker and sort of clenched her mouth and got angry at the marker for a second before eventually uncapping it. Really cute. I had a religious argument with this surprisingly intelligent super Christian girl, someone I am typically not attracted to at all. She blew me away with every explanation, even as I was frustrated with her responses in the beginning. Her calming responses hypnotized me. I've never gone from disliking someone so much to borderline falling in love. She was literally 5x more beautiful to me after that. We were also talking about how her parents stayed together despite having so many terrible fights and I explained to her how stupid that was. She told me that nothing is perfect, it just takes a varying amount of work and that after years and years of fighting her parents persevered and they're really happy now. She taught me a more deep meaning of love within a 30-minute conversation at Bojangles. Somewhere in the back of my head I'm still a little in love with her. I'm usually a very reserved person but if I ever saw her again I would have to pick her up and give her a great big hug. Honestly one of the kindest souls I've ever met. Whoa. I liked his hands. They were large but not fat. His fingers were squared off and the nails were kept trimmed and plain. They were strong hands that could easily open jars for me, hold my hand gently, or choke me into sexual pleasure. It's been over 8 years that we've been together now and his hands still work for me. Maybe not attracted to but like I want to bang people who hate me I hate. Probably some kind of power fantasy. I have no idea. It's not people I hate, more like people I'm slightly scared of, particularly if you're a woman. If you give any indication whatsoever that you might be able to kick my butt, you instantly jump up about 30 notches on the hotness scale. I don't get it either. There's something about the way leg hair envelopes the leg and gives it shape and texture. I once saw this guy whose jeans had knee rips and just the sight of his artistic hairy knees had a profound effect upon me. I know you're being perfectly serious, but I'm trying to stifle my laughter. If I could upvote you twice, I would. I seem to be one of the few women who can appreciate a chubby guy. I do not like skinny men. I am 5'3" and weigh 120 pounds. None of my friends understand my fascination with chubby men. I just love them so much. My boyfriend is about 5'9" and weighs about 180 pounds. I always grab at his belly and thighs when we are intimate. He doesn't understand but he lets me do it. Indicates to the internet an interest in slightly overweight males. Inbox full. I don't know if it's just my low standards coming into play, but I'm a lot more attracted to less conventionally attractive women who are achievable. I'm somehow more attracted to 6S and 7S than I am 10s, for I daren't touch the sun. This is weird for the simple fact that I had no reason to feel the way I did, but I did. A tiny backstory: I'd been in a 3-year-long abusive relationship with my ex-husband and had been out of it for going on 2 years when I came across this guy. First time I saw the guy was in a grocery store. We just passed by each other and he had the most intense eyes I have ever seen. It was like there was a fire in his soul burning through from his eyes. It was so striking. He stuck in my mind for a while, all while I was feeling an extreme sense of awe. Never thought I'd see him again, but I did. I had my best friend's daughter at the house with me and I had my back door opened and lo and behold, here comes this guy again riding by on his bicycle. He was beautiful. He didn't have on a shirt and he was kind of built but in a really gorgeous way. Not too much but enough to look strong. Anyway, his eyes yet again looked like they were reflecting the sky, and the look he had when he went back instantly relaxed me and made me feel very safe. I had never felt safe like that around anyone before, besides my uncle, and I was floored. Had an extreme attraction that was akin to the love at first sight phenomenon that some people experience. Absolutely no basis for feeling like that, but it evoked a very strong reaction in me. I had a sex dream about a former co-worker and after that I found her insanely attractive. I thought she was cute before, but after that dream it was a much greater attraction. Pregnancy. At a former workplace, female co-worker became pregnant. She was married and it was planned. I mean, she was already a beautiful woman and a fun person to work beside, but I swear she started becoming even more beautiful and desirable as her pregnancy advanced. Even during months 7-8, every time she'd walk in I'd suddenly become all gaga over her. Later on, a GF explained to me about the pregnant woman glow and how some women have it and others have it in spades. Ken Bone agrees. If he's really passionate about something. I've had a crush on this drummer, and I know nothing about playing music, who people made fun of for being thin and having intense expressions on his face while playing. He is being compared to Dobby and Gollum, but I learned that he focuses on improving his technique for hours every day and regularly plays with other musicians to strengthen himself. He has also traveled to different countries to learn their arts of percussion. Such an amazing guy. I fell head over heels for him. When I was working in food service, a cute girl came in, was chatting with her a bit while she was ordering, and the subject came to the weather. She was from a colder climate and had moved to the south, which is much warmer. Usually, I commented about it being hot here and she replied with something along the lines of, yeah, but I think I've acclimated. Sexy use of vocabulary. He was very protective. I would always walk around at night and he will make sure to tell me to be safe, and he prays for me. Though I'm not religious, I appreciate it very much. Plus his accent is sexy as frick. Like if words can finger me, baby. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.